allow AI to become a weapon of surveillance for surveillance, exploitation, and the dismantling of public institutions. So, Mr. Shire, how should Americans feel knowing that DOJ is pulling together their most sensitive personal data to train AI without clear safeguards, oversight, or consent? And what protections are in place to keep that data from being misused or exposed?
Well, we do have a lot of laws in place. We have laws protecting the data. We have laws prescribing how it is used, how it is shared, and that's what's being bypassed. So it really is more a matter of enforcing the laws we have on the books than writing new laws. I don't think we have a need to do anything because of AI, because these problems with data sharing, the security risks, have been with us for decades. And we do have laws, we do have rules, and they're being bypassed.
So let me ask you this. Given DOJ's reported practice of bypassing security protocols and exporting sensitive data to less secure environments, how serious is the national security risk? And are we—
Madam Chairwoman, thank you to our witnesses for being here today. I want to just start by noting that we know that certainly AI can be an important tool for federal government, for our federal workforce. We always want to make sure that we're centering those that are working in our government and uplift the work that our federal workers do every single day. But we know that AI can navigate and help government become more efficient and intuitive in many cases. I think we should be honest about that. It can also help constituents get services faster. I've seen this happen at the local level. I've seen it happen, of course, now happening at the state level and here in Congress as well. We also know that many agencies just need to move more quickly, be more efficient. And AI can be a tool when you respect the federal workforce and work with the federal workforce on how we make these implementations happen. AI can also be used, of course, on issues around red tape. I saw this happening in cities across the United States. And we can analyze data better and faster. We can also work to empower our federal workforce in ways that they can use AI to help them do their jobs. And I think that's an important piece of this. It's also clear, though, that AI can be incredibly dangerous, incredibly disruptive, and certainly without guardrails can cause real harm to the American public and to the work that we're all trying to do. Now, deployment, of course, is going to take investments into work, but I do have some serious concerns about how AI is used, and it's particularly in this administration. And I want to talk about one of them, which I think is actually really, really important. So this, of course, is Robert Kennedy Jr., someone who I consider to be an extreme anti-vaxxer. I believe for him to be a conspiracy theorist, and certainly has no business being the Secretary of Health and Human Services. Now, take one step back. We just went through a pandemic where 1.3 million Americans lost their lives, where businesses were shut down across the country, where healthcare was brought to the forefront of the public consciousness. And we know how important getting real medical vaccine testing information is to the American public. And right now we're dealing with measles outbreaks in Texas and other places. Information needs to be peer-reviewed, fact-checked, and done in a way that is responsible. But here, of course, we know that there was recently a Make America Healthy report that was put out by RFK Jr. and HHS. And I'm going to include in the article just this quote. There were dozens of errors, including broken links, wrong issue numbers, and missing or incorrect authors. Some studies were misstated to back up the report's conclusions, or more damningly, didn't exist at all. At least 7 of the cited sources were entirely fictitious. What we do know from many folks that have read this report is it appears that AI played a role in developing a report about the public health of Americans. This is something that we should be incredibly concerned with. And let's be clear, RFK Jr. has a long history already of dangerous, unscientific beliefs. He said 5G and Wi-Fi cause brain damage. He said that you don't believe that HIV causes AIDS. He said that water can make you transgender. These are very concerning positions. And the fact that he puts out this report, and HHS, which has been long respected as an important agency, puts out a report that is full of AI errors and AI-generated content, should concern every member of Congress on both sides of the aisle. This is incredibly devastating when you, on top of that, look at all the cuts that he's making to NIH and other health agencies across the United States. And so this is, for me, very concerning, and it should be for all of us. Professor Schneier, is it fair to say that these kind of errors in important government documents and health reports that could be due to AI are concerning to us and we should be concerned about?
They are concerning, but put the blame where it belongs. I mean, maybe the AI is not suitable for the task, or maybe the human who used the AI didn't check the work. And that would have been true if the human tasked an intern. I mean, so it's really a matter of what's the process by which, by whatever gives you your first draft, do you look at it and make sure it's correct? We've seen the same problem with attorneys submitting briefs into courts that have fake precedents. I mean, yes, the AI made the mistake, but it's the human who puts their name to it, who says this is correct. They're the ones responsible. I mean, I teach this stuff. I tell my students to use AI, but you're responsible for plagiarism. You're responsible for accuracy.
I agree with you completely. And sir, I also spent 10 years in the classroom teaching as well. And
it's really weird now.
and so I same. And I think that the idea that we're now seeing so much AI-generated content produced in our universities is a different topic. But let me just conclude with this. I think your point is exactly right. AI can be a tool, but there has to be the human element. The workforce has to be a part of it. It has to be a responsible user of AI, and so that we don't end up with medical reports that are false. And with that, I yield back. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll now recognize Mr. Grothman for 5 minutes.
Successful entrepreneur and leader in Silicon Valley. Appreciate your being here. So I'll answer my first question to you. How do you think AI can help, particularly government employees, do better and be more effective in their work?
Yeah, thank you. The things that we're seeing in the private sector today with large organizations like Honeywell and like, Northrop Grumman or and the likes, they're benefiting from AI by making their employees be able to self-serve, get information that they're looking for, and take actions across a variety of systems. On any given day, an employee might have to swivel their chair 17 times to use different tools. And that becomes a very wasteful portion of their day, sometimes many hours. And so to the extent that we can start to do that for federal workers, for all folks who work for this government, I think we're going to see some benefits that will allow them to troubleshoot, to have better IT, benefits that will accrue to them from an HR perspective in terms of getting the information they need, making the changes, the benefit selections that go into that, and also be able to work across different systems without having to be an expert. I think one of the things that you all have pointed out, there's hundreds of enterprise systems inside the government, and you may only touch it once a year, twice a year. And so if you can use AI as the overlay, kind of that front door, what you'll see is your staff and all the members of the federal government be able to navigate these systems, which can be very complex, very easily, using the most intuitive interface in the world, which is language and conversation. So when it comes to that, we've seen companies in our sort of world of private sector be able to reclaim, top 5 pharmaceutical was able to reclaim 75,000 hours of employee productivity by deploying this kind of AI across 44 languages. We've had a Fortune 500 aerospace manufacturer reclaim 75% of its support budget to be able to bring in technologies and leverage. So I think that you're going to see both happier employees and better outcomes while also making the government more efficient.
And this is for anyone on the panel. How would you address people's concerns about AI displacing jobs, being something that will lead to layoffs or people not being able to work?
I'm happy to start. I think it's going to happen, and it's not going to be the jobs we think. It's going to be like low-level lawyers, and that's going to be hard. I mean, because you think about a lot of these professions are apprentice professions, and where do the senior partners come from if the low-level lawyers or low-level doctors are being replaced by AI? Something society has to think about, whether there'll be new jobs. In all previous revolutions, there have been new jobs to replace old jobs. This might be different. That's why you see a lot of talk about AGI, about universal basic income, UBI. Like, is this going to be different, where we need to figure out how to give people the ability to survive? And we don't know. We don't know a lot of these things. So those are very real fears, and I think we as society should think about them before they happen. We're not good at that, but we should.
Go ahead.
Congressman, just briefly, I'd just point out that there's been a lot of government reports on this issue and a lot of efforts about government retraining and so on and so forth. It's very hard to have a crystal ball to predict the jobs and skills that are needed in the future. But I'll just point out that just 10 years ago, everyone was predicting a whole bunch of jobs that would be dislocated. The most famous one, and number one, was going to be radiologists. And just a couple weeks ago, the New York Times ran a piece that basically say there's more radiologists than ever, and they're utilizing AI to improve their jobs and free up time to do better things. And that's the story of technological change in sector after sector, is that we sometimes don't understand how complex human-machine interactions work and actually can change jobs for the better and improve the employment output over time.
I agree with being a technology optimist. I will say, though, that the unemployment rate for people between the ages of 21 and 29 these days with a college degree is 15%. And so the challenge, I think, is, as Mr. Shire pointed out, is how, especially at the entry level, for people, particularly with college degrees, how are we going to create these jobs, and how are they going to be able to use the tools of AI to be effective? But I appreciate all of your thinking on this, and appreciate your being here for your testimony. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll now recognize Mr. Donalds for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think it's actually a good jumping off point from my colleagues' comments about potential concerns of displacement. I think that, as we've looked at the evolutions of our economy over the last 150 years, we've always hit these inflection points when there was a disruptive new technology or process for how large swaths of our economy operated, and there's always a concern about displacement. I think that the difference now is that seeing the evolutions of AI, which quite frankly are just starting, and there's going to be things we're going to be talking about in a decade we wouldn't even be thinking about today in this hearing. I think it's more about making sure that kids going through the K-12 system primarily, but then also through higher education, are learning how to leverage AI and these tools to actually become far more productive, far more innovative, and then as a byproduct, having their labor be able to have a different set of value in the economy to come. And I think that it's an interesting thing, human beings and human psychology, we always try to find a way to have purpose regardless of whatever the dynamics are that are operating on the field of play of our economy. One of the largest data center operators in my home state of Florida, Equinix, was the first data center to partner with an SMR provider, Oklo. These nuclear small modular reactors can generate at least 500 megawatts of power to our energy grid and to power data centers. Mr. Bakhjaratari, I think I got that right. That's not right. Close. My apologies. Can you share some ideas on how Congress and the Trump administration can accelerate the safe deployment of clean, advanced nuclear energy and AI data centers to support our growing energy and computing demands?
Thank you so much for your question. I think in the last couple of months, we have seen a clear linkage between, advancing AI and AI models and reliance on new modes of energy. I think my organization really is focused on the development of fusion energy, for example, because I think one of the pathways that now is showing real great success in our country is the emergence of private sector companies that are showing incredible successful models of how to get to fusion energy. We also have the national labs that have made major breakthroughs. The Lawrence Livermore National Ignition Facility in 2022 have made the first fusion breakthrough. So I think in particular to your question, fusion is one of the pathways that I think can enable the energy demand that we will face going forward when it comes to AI models, but that's not going to be enough alone. So I think we should pursue multiple pathways because we want to be energy independent and we want to have the best models available to the world.
Mr. Thier, I'm not having a good day. Mr. Thier, with the establishment of the Special Advisor for AI and Crypto, what are some of the recommendations or priorities related to artificial intelligence that you would like to see them pursue?
Well, one of them is what you just asked about, Congressman, which is making sure that America has energy independence and a greater diversity of energy sources to power the algorithmic revolution. And this is something the Trump administration has taken steps to address with executive orders and other things like that. That's crucial. Obviously, a crucial part will also be the development of a national framework for artificial intelligence policy, just as we had for the internet before. We need to address this conflicting patchwork of policies that's developing. That's something the administration and this Congress is obviously concerned with. And then there's a variety of other things having to do with national security matters and other investments in various types of algorithmic and robotic systems that are really, really crucial, among many, many other things that Congress and the administration are trying to do.
Last point, I'll just throw this out to the panel. I was sitting with my colleague, Mr. Perry. We were just kind of theorizing about what type of advantages AI advancements, as well as, I guess you could say, quantum computing, what that could actually do to modernize and streamline governmental operations, not just federal, but state and local. Just in your own expert opinions, what do you think the possibilities are in terms of how it would essentially help to redesign, streamline, and bring greater amounts of efficiency into the federal government? Like, where do you think is a good place to start, I guess I would say?
Yeah, I would say that if you think about this new technology of agentic AI, it allows for a new kind of automation. We've been building automation for several decades, but a lot of it was very brittle. And if something slightly changed under the hood, all of a sudden, that automation would no longer work. With agentic AI, you can actually overcome a lot of that by having these very, smart, intelligent reasoners and systems that can then go and do the levels of automation that we haven't been able to do before. And I think what that's going to do is really elevate all of us to be able to work on less mundane things and more sort of advanced thinking and creative ideas. All
right. I'm out of time, everybody. Thanks so much. I yield back.
Thank you. I'll now recognize Ms. Crockett for 5 minutes.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. It's interesting because I don't know what all has taken place thus far in this hearing, but I do recall when I left, we were talking about Elon. And so I want to make sure that we don't forget him. I know that some people want us to forget Elon and act like he never existed, but we're not going to do that. We are talking about AI today, and I can tell you what real people in my district care about. I had a few town halls, and I talked to some seniors, and they were concerned about their data and their information and how it was being used. And they wanted me to answer questions that I just didn't have the answers to about what has Elon done with their tax information, their social security information, their health information, banking information about their credit histories. And instead of demanding answers, Republicans just blocked our motion to subpoena him to testify before this committee. And I'd ask at this point for unanimous consent to enter into the record a picture of who all was in the room when we took the vote. Madam Chair?
No objection.
As well as, since our clerk was ready and she knew who was in the room, the actual record of who was in the room at that time.
No objection.
Thank you so much. 5 months into the 119th Congress, and no one from the administration or DOJ has appeared before this committee to explain why they're invading the privacy of Americans. And the irony of it all is during a 2023 hearing, I remember Chairman Comer stating that, quote, "We've witnessed big tech autocrats wield their unchecked power to promote their preferred political opinions. And now he and committee Republicans are here helping the world's richest man to do just that. They're letting him spy on companies competing for government grants, but worse, they're letting him spy on you, the American people." Look, we can all agree that incorporating emerging technologies like artificial intelligence into government operations can be effective. However, these technologies shouldn't be used to weaponize the government against the public. So I'm going to ask Mr. Schneider really quickly. Is it true that when it comes to any technologies, AI or otherwise, that they can be a double-edged sword?
I think of technology as power, and the more the technology enhances your power. And whether your power is for good or for bad depends on you, depends on how you're perceived. So yes, I mean, technology has affordances, and we know that modern technologies are kind of built for surveillance, make surveillance easy. Right? This is the most complex, effective surveillance device we've ever invented, and we all willingly put it in our pockets every morning. So yes, technologies can be used for both good and evil, but think of the people behind it as the wielders.
Yes, I absolutely agree, and I appreciate your answer. That's my concern. My concern is that these technologies will be used to weaponize the government against the public, because everything that we have seen out of this particular administration has been nothing short but weaponization. So let's talk about some of the things that this administration is doing. They've announced they're going to use AI to scan the social media accounts of students who disagree with their policies. They've threatened nonprofits and universities that are they're threatening their tax-exempt status. They've threatened journalists for reporting stories that are critical of the president. They are literally in court arguing to end birthright citizenship, and a lot of y'all think only immigrants are going to be affected by this, but this administration has already deported American citizens. In fact, in an interview with Time magazine, Trump said, quote, "I would love to do that. We're looking into it." Madam Chair, I'd ask unanimous consent to enter into the record an article published by ABC News titled, quote, "Trump wants to send U.S. citizens to foreign prisons. Legal experts
No
say."
objection.
Thank you. It won't be long before more Americans are targets of this administration. This administration has refused to follow the law, and the Republicans are failing to do actual oversight. We don't know what they're going to do with your health records and Social Security information. In fact, we don't know what they're doing. I don't think anybody does, except we know that they're breaking the law. And it is frustrating to me because I am somebody that actually believes in science. I believe that we should be investing in our young people. I believe that we should not be taking research dollars away. I believe that we should be trying to come up with new technologies and that we should be leading the world. But unfortunately, I can't trust these guys to do good things because, as it's already been said by Mr. Schneider, it is about who it is that is on the side that is asking for this to be done. And frankly, this feels like some bad movie that we are all in, and that the villains are doing bad. So with that,
We know that